part of the lockdown experiences that a number of countries, ourselves and also in the region had, was how do you balance the activity that must continue to happen at a farm level to ensure that there is production of food in a continuous basis.
The research in South Africa paints a very stark picture of the scale of the growing food crisis. They really put very clearly how almost half of the country's population went hungry back in April, with 47% of households running out of food. They particularly highlighted that women are going hungry to feed their children. We know this is not new, especially among Black women who have been making these kinds of sacrifices for years. But the COVID-19 pandemic and resulting lockdown and the fiscal crisis have created a still growing hunger emergency.
There is a need to improve support, in my view, to all farmers, regardless of the scale of their operation, so that they better cope with external shock, ranging from changing climate, developing technologies, and constantly evolving markets. The need for support is more critical for small-scale farmers and new entrants as we promote the involvement of women, youth, and people living with disabilities and farm dwellers.
We all know that achieving consensus on these complex policy issues around land and agriculture in South Africa is difficult. We need to be very upfront around this and really learn from the difficult experiences we've had at different phases in our democracy and acknowledge our differences.
As government, we are appreciative of this approach given its inclusive nature in policy formulation. A dialogue by its very nature creates the space for engagement with partners, sharing of ideas, and critique on areas where perspectives may not be the same. However, as social partners gathered here, we need to also acknowledge that some existing policies and institutions tasked with the provision of supporting farmers and communities need a significant review for bringing down some of these inefficiencies. It is one of the reasons I find value in this platform, because it can help us to reform financing, support policy, and redesign systems that need change to make it easier for farmers and agribusiness to access all kinds of support.
If land reform had worked, how would COVID-19 have played out? And what if we had employment-intensive agriculture successfully thriving in South Africa? Or what if women's agricultural production was privileged? And what if food value chains were shortened? So you can hear how all of these questions are directly relevant to the conversation we'll be having today.
We also need to ensure that during this period, we enhance our efforts to recalibrate our local food production and distribution system so that it accommodates more players, in particular youth and women. This then necessitates a rapid release of land and water use rights for food production by deserving and qualifying individuals, commencing with the state land and expanding to communal and strategically allocated commercial land. We also need to look at urban agriculture and what approaches and interventions we need at that level.